1966. You're sitting in a dusty theater watching three gunslingers face off in the most iconic standoff ever filmed. Sweat drips. Tension builds. Ennio Morricone's score pounds through your chest. You think you're watching actors playing cowboys, but what you don't know is that the real drama was happening off-camera. Clint Eastwood nearly died. One actor vanished completely. Another became Hollywood royalty. Let's discover what really happened to the legends who created cinema's greatest Western. Let's see where the good, the bad, and the ugly ended up in 2026. Number 1, we have Clint Eastwood, who played the man with no name from 1964 to 1966 across the Dollars trilogy.
I gotta tell you before you hire me, I don't work cheap.
Clint was 36 years old when he became the squinting, poncho-wearing icon, appearing in all three films that made him a global superstar. What most don't realize is just how desperate a gamble this was for the young actor. Eastwood was stuck on American television, playing second fiddle on the Western series Rawhide. When the opportunity came to shoot a low-budget Western in Spain with an unknown Italian director, Eastwood's American advisors told him it would destroy his career. Instead, it made him immortal.
This is just a drover's life, this is all I know.
The filming was anything but glamorous. The cast and crew battled scorching heat in the Spanish desert. In one terrifying moment, during the bridge explosion scene in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Eastwood nearly lost his life when shrapnel from the blast missed him by mere inches. The stunt coordinator had miscalculated the explosive power, sending deadly debris flying toward the future superstar. It was mere luck that Eastwood wasn't seriously injured or killed. After returning from Spain, Eastwood leveraged his newfound fame to become one of Hollywood's most bankable stars. But he had bigger ambitions. In 1971, he stepped behind the camera for Play Misty for Me, revealing a director with genuine vision. This began his remarkable dual career as both actor and filmmaker, eventually earning him 4 Academy Awards. His personal life proved just as colorful as his screen personas. Despite projecting an image of the stoic, reliable American hero, Eastwood's romantic entanglements were anything but traditional. He fathered 8 children with 6 different women, had multiple marriages, and engaged in legendary affairs throughout his decades in Hollywood. In 2026, Clint is an incredible 96 years old and still directing films. His most recent work, a contemplative drama about aging and legacy, demonstrates that the former man with no name hasn't lost his artistic edge, even as he approaches the century mark. He's now the oldest working director in Hollywood history, outlasting even Manuel de Oliveira, who directed until age 106. The man with no name was mysterious and dangerous, but Clint Eastwood became Hollywood royalty who never stopped working. Number 2, we have Lee Van Cleef, who played the ruthless Angel Eyes, earning him the nickname The Bad.
Sit down. Sit down and eat.
Lee was 41 years old when Sergio Leone cast him as the cold-blooded killer, reviving a career that had nearly ended. What few people realize is that Van Cleef was essentially washed up in Hollywood when Leone discovered him. After a promising start playing villains in films like High Noon and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Van Cleef's career had stalled. He was working as a painter and doing bit parts to survive. What attracted Leone to Van Cleef was precisely what American directors had overlooked: his distinctive hawk-like features, penetrating eyes, and natural menace. In Leone's hands, these became iconic. The director famously said, "When Lee Van Cleef entered a room, the audience should be afraid even before he does anything." After The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Van Cleef became a massive star in Europe, headlining dozens of spaghetti westerns through the late 60s and 70s. He was bigger in Italy, Spain, and Germany than he ever had been in America. The irony wasn't lost on him. He had to go to Europe to become a star playing an American. Throughout his later career, Van Cleef battled serious health issues. A car accident in 1959 had left him with injuries that never fully healed. He developed heart disease, likely exacerbated by years of heavy smoking, a habit visible in many of his films. Sadly, Lee passed away in 1989 at age 64, but his journey was remarkable. Angel Eyes was the bad guy everyone feared, but Lee Van Cleef was a gentleman who found redemption in the most unexpected place. Number 3, we have Eli Wallach, who played the bandit Tuco, bringing humor and humanity to the ugly. Eli was 51 years old when he created one of cinema's most memorable characters, nearly dying multiple times during filming. Unlike his co-stars, Wallach came from a distinguished theatre background and was an established method actor trained by Lee Strasberg. Initially, he almost turned down the role, thinking a Western filmed in Spain by Italians was beneath his talents. His wife convinced him to take the chance. That decision nearly cost him his life, 3 times. In the infamous train sequence, Wallach was supposed to lie on the tracks as a train passed over him. No one told him that the cars had metal steps that extended from the sides, which would have decapitated him had he raised his head even slightly. In another harrowing incident during the hanging scene, his horse was spooked by gunfire and ran for miles with Wallach still tied to the saddle with a noose around his neck. And in yet another accident, he accidentally drank acid that a film technician had stored in a soda bottle. Despite these near disasters, Wallach created in Tuco a character of surprising depth. A villain, yes, but one with humanity, humour, and pathos. Following the film, Wallach enjoyed an extraordinarily versatile career spanning over 6 decades, moving effortlessly between film, television, and his first love, the theatre. Perhaps most remarkable was his 66-year marriage to actress Anne Jackson, one of Hollywood's most enduring love stories in an industry notorious for short-lived romances. Together, they were fixtures of both Broadway and cinema, often performing together. Eli passed away in 2014 at age 98, living an incredibly full life. Tuco was the ugly bandit everyone underestimated, but Eli Wallach was a class act who proved longevity beats fame every time. Number 4, we have Ennio Morricone, who created the haunting score that made the film unforgettable. Ennio was 38 years old when he composed what many consider the greatest Western score ever written. What makes this achievement even more remarkable is that Morricone had never been to America when he wrote music that would define the American West for generations. He created his sonic landscape purely from imagination and the European perception of the frontier. Morricone revolutionized film music by introducing unconventional elements. Whistling, whip cracks, coyote howls, and the unforgettable wah 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 theme played on an ocarina. His work with Leone transformed not just Western scores but film music as a whole. Before Morricone, film scores often served as background. After him, they became central to the storytelling experience. His output was staggering, over 400 film scores across 6 decades. Yet despite this prolific career and universal acclaim, Hollywood recognition came shockingly late. He received an honorary Academy Award in 2007, but it wasn't until 2016 that he won a competitive Oscar for his score to Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight at age 87. Sadly, Ennio passed away in 2020 at age 91, but his musical legacy is immortal. His influence extends far beyond cinema. His compositions have been sampled by hip-hop artists, covered by rock bands, and used in countless commercials and video games. The score was just background music, but Ennio Morricone became the voice of the American West that wasn't even American. Number 5, we have Sergio Leone, the visionary director who created this masterpiece. Sergio was 37 years old when he directed what would become his magnum opus, revolutionizing the Western genre. Leone's background was pure cinema. His father was a pioneer of Italian silent films, and Sergio grew up on movie sets. Yet when he decided to make westerns, many thought it absurd that an Italian would attempt America's signature genre. What Leone understood was that the Western had become too sanitized, too morally simple under Hollywood's production code. He reinvented it with European cynicism, moral ambiguity, and operatic violence. Filming in Spain's Tabernas Desert, which resembled the American Southwest, Leone created a vision of the West that was both historically inaccurate and emotionally true. His technical innovations transformed cinema. Those extreme close-ups of squinting eyes and sweaty faces, the balletic wide shots of landscapes, and his masterful use of extended tension, where minutes would pass before a gun was drawn, influenced generations of filmmakers. Without Leone, there would be no Tarantino, no modern Scorsese, and Star Wars would look entirely different. George Lucas openly modeled his approach after Leone's. Tragically, Sergio passed away in 1989 at only 60 years old, cutting short a brilliant career. He had been developing Once Upon a Time in America for nearly a decade and had plans for an epic about the siege of Leningrad that never materialized. Leone directed westerns, but Sergio Leone became the man who taught Hollywood how to make movies. Finally, let's talk about what the good, the bad, and the ugly did to cinema itself. What began as a low-budget foreign film became one of the most influential movies ever made. Its DNA can be found in countless modern works, from Breaking Bad, which directly references the film multiple times, to virtually every modern Western and action film. Leone's film effectively killed the traditional Hollywood Western. After audiences witnessed his brutal, morally ambiguous frontier, they couldn't go back to the simplistic white hat/black hat morality tales that had dominated for decades. The film's restoration in 2002 brought back footage cut from the American release, allowing new generations to experience Leone's complete vision. 60 years after its release, it remains a fixture on greatest films ever made lists and continues to inspire filmmakers across genres. Perhaps most remarkably, this Italian-made, Spanish-shot, dubbed film with a cast of American, Italian, and European actors created what most people now think of as the authentic American West, a place of brutal violence, moral compromise, and stark beauty. The frontier it depicts never really existed except in Leone's imagination, yet it has become more real in our collective consciousness than the historical reality. 3 men walked into the desert to make a movie. What they created was immortality.